The rain came down hard enough to blur the city lights into watercolor smears. Asha's shoulders hunched against the downpour as she hustled up the alley beside St. Jude's, her scrub soaked at the hem and her bag bumping her hip. The night had been mercifully light until now. One broken wrist, 2 drunk men stabilized and sent home, and a beautiful 3-hour window of quiet that felt like a small miracle between 12-hour shifts. She should have taken the city bus. She should have called a cab. She should have listened to the little voice in her head that kept saying, "Not tonight." But convenience had a gravity of its own, more so when Leo's bedtime story still needed tucking in. City blocks folded behind her. Her phone buzzed with a text from work. She thumbed a quick reply and kept walking. Then they moved. It was clean, efficient, almost clinical. 2 men stepped from the shadow of a delivery truck, one tall and narrow-faced, the other low and squat. No grand theatrics, no shouting, a gloved hand over her mouth, the press of a shoulder into her ribs. The world turned into an alarm tangle, the cold metal of a cuff box against her jaw, a grating whisper, a boot hitting wet pavement. She tried to twist, to pull, to scream. The cold hand covered her mouth again, and a third figure closed the distance. "Easy," the low voice said. "We get what we need, we go." They bundled her into the back of a van. For a heartbeat, she thought of every story she had treated in the ER, the clean, stunned faces of people who had been blindsided. Kidnapping had all the same hallmarks. Shock, heat climbing to the face, a sixth sense that time had become someone else's property. The men argued in short, clipped sentences about a man named Lucian and money, names she registered like static. She tasted copper. A headlamp flashed. The van drove on. At first it didn't feel possible that someone could plan this. A nurse snatched off the street like a purse. She kept searching the van's dim interior for reasons she could recognize. Work, someone's vendetta, a bar fight gone private. But the answers weren't there. Only the throb in her wrist where a rope had tightened and the sudden numbness in her fingers. Then the van stopped. Soft voices outside. The clink of chains. A car door slammed. When 2 pairs of gloves parted the cloth that covered her face, daylight stabbed her eyes. A new figure loomed above the men, tall, composed, with a posture that made the rescuers themselves look disloyal. For a moment Asha's brain simply could not place the woman's face. "Valentina," the tall figure whispered, and the 2 men flinched as if they'd been slapped. The name landed in the van like something heavy, decisive. Asha looked past the woman to the street. She could see a car idling across the curb, the city unable to pause its indifferent rush. The woman's hand moved like a flicker of motion, a wrist, a blade unseen somewhere, and then shouts cut through. The tall figure's voice was calm, a controlled instrument. The 2 men who had been so confident earlier suddenly looked small. "Get out," the woman told them, not raising her voice but setting something immovable into the air. The men scrambled. The short one grabbed Asha's arm and yanked her forward. The tall figure shoved him hard enough that he landed against the van's rear door with a grunt. In 2 breaths the violence was finished. The men ran, disappearing into the rain, and the tall woman turned to the figure who'd intervened. "You okay?" she asked, and when Asha blinked the sound bent her forward, an accent like clipped glass and velvet, foreign, private, not meant for corridors of hospitals. It took a moment for coherence to return. Asha's knees buckled, and the tall woman caught her by the elbow. The city's noise reassembled itself, an ambulance siren faint and distant, the gutters cough, a bus closing its doors. A hand pressed a soft cloth to Asha's wrist, lifted away a cut lip, steadied her breath. "Breathe," the woman said. She had an evenness to her that made danger feel like a controlled, shameful thing. "You're safe now." Asha's first lucid thought was that her rescuers smelled faintly of citrus and something darker, leather and old smoke. Her second thought was that the woman's face was beautiful in a way that made breathing uneven, sharp cheekbones, hair like a storm, and eyes so gray they looked forged from tempered iron. "Who are you?" Asha managed. Her voice was smaller than she expected. The woman's jaw tightened. "Serena Valente," she said, an answer that landed like a fact. You heard that name before? Asha wanted to say no, to say she was a nurse and she'd be fine, but Lucian's name still pinged in the back of her mind, and she realized the men had said it for a reason. She swallowed.
No.
Serena's gaze flicked to the van, to the receding shapes of the men. She didn't flinch. Good. Keep it that way. Her hand tightened on Asha's elbow. Come with me. Serena's car smelled like leather and black coffee, and the drive into the parts of the city Sarah had never walked at night felt like being guided through a secret map. Asha tried to count streetlights, to find landmarks, to figure out how someone who had the command of an entire gang could move like a shadow and still keep access to a safe house with soft sheets and warm lamps. They stopped at an old townhouse whose facade might have once been respectable. Inside, the house smelled of lemon oil and iron clean. Serena moved with the same calm precision that had broken the men's confidence. She led Asha to a small room upstairs and set a steaming cup of tea into Asha's hands before the woman could protest. You'll stay here for a while, Serena said simply. Until things settle. Asha's first, shocked reflex was indignation. I don't need. You do, Serena interrupted. There was no polite inflection. It was a fact, like weather. They won't stop looking until they know you're gone. I couldn't have you walking around the ward where you work. Not after today. Asha's mouth opened, closed. Who are they? Why would they come after me? Serena's face did something soft, an impossible, cruel twist that suggested history and loss. Wrong time, wrong place, she said. Or someone's trying to send a message. Either way, you were collateral. I don't like collateral. The bluntness was infuriating. You're a criminal. And you fix people, Serena shot back. Different jobs. Same city. For a moment, Asha saw the irony. The woman in front of her, whose name felt like a rumor in the city's underbelly, was the one offering sanctuary to a nurse who spent her life fighting to keep strangers alive. The contradiction irritated her more than it should have. You can't keep me here, Asha said. My son. You'll stay until I say otherwise, Serena said. The sentence had the finality of a one-way door. You'll eat. You'll sleep. You'll behave. You'll share no details unless you want trouble. Asha bristled. And if I refuse? Serena's look turned cold as winter water. Then you leave. And then you keep your kid and the hospital out of the firing line, because I won't be there to catch what falls. You leaving isn't safe, Asha. Trust me on this. Asha had never been good at taking orders. She'd lived a life of improvised fixes, shift changes that meant skipping bedtime, paychecks that were stretched like gum, a mother who taught her to bite back because the world didn't hand gentle things to women who needed them. But standing in that small, dim room, looking at a woman whose authority could move men like chess pieces, Asha realized she had a choice that wasn't between obedience and heroics. She could accept shelter for her son's safety. Fine, she said finally. 1 week, then I go. Serena's mouth twitched. 1 week, she agreed. But if there's a sign it's unsafe, you leave instantly. And how will I know? Asha asked. Serena stepped closer than was necessary, so close that Asha could see the tiny scar at the corner of her mouth, an old, pale line that made the woman look somehow both older and fragile. If you hear my call, and I'm not in the room, you get out. Don't look for me. Move. Run. No heroics. Asha held Serena's gaze. She wanted to ask how Serena had known to pull the van into the curb like that, to wonder why a woman of such evident power had bothered for someone she didn't know. But Gloria's voice chimed in her head, the practical voice of survival. No questions. Ask later. She put the cup down. Okay, Asha said. 1 week. Serena nodded once. Good. Then she left, shutting the door with the kind of quiet that meant she'd already put mechanisms in motion. That night, Asha lay on unfamiliar sheets and thought about all the ways ordinary life could tilt into danger. She thought about Leo's small, warm face and how he'd fallen asleep telling her he loved her, and wondered how she'd explain a week away. She also, stubbornly, thought about the scar near Serena's mouth. The mark of someone who had been through something big. The kind of person who did not flinch when men threatened the city's night. She didn't know her rescuer's loyalties. She didn't know whether Serena valued her life for anything other than being useful. But she did know this. For now, she was alive, her son was safe, and a woman with a scar had just told her how to survive. That would have to do. Day 3 of Serena's safe time slipped into a pattern as automatic as breath. Serena kept an exacting schedule. Training runs at dawn, a few phone calls that ended with clipped words, a quiet breakfast in the kitchen where Asha noticed how Serena moved, calculating, economical. The safe house had cameras. It had doors that locked from the inside. It had, Asha discovered, a room that smelled like lemon and lavender and, oddly, old books. The friction between the two women was constant and electric. Serena's rules were non-negotiable. Asha's independence was not. The first morning Asha tried to brush her teeth in the guest bathroom while Serena was there. Serena raised a brow and said, "I thought you would prefer privacy." "Aren't you the one who said privacy?" Asha snapped. "Or, do you have two faces? One for interrogations and one for bathrooms?" Serena's calm reaction was the kind that could bury people. "I don't have faces. I have a life pattern that keeps people alive. If you want privacy, talk, and make sense. I'll try not to watch you brush your teeth like you're planning a heist." The exchange was absurd, and Asha couldn't help but let out a laugh. It felt like spitting into a storm to find traction, to laugh when the alternative was darkness. They began to talk in small ways. Not confessions, no, that would come later, in fractured hours of vulnerability, but practicalities. Serena's taste in music, classical, with a secret fondness for the wrong kind of pop at 2 in the morning. Asha's guilty pleasure, a soap opera she watched on rare days off. They shared chores, then recipes, then a single argument that left both of them breathing hard in a way that had nothing to do with physical exertion. "You think you know everything because you give orders," Asha told her one afternoon as they rinsed dishes. Her hands were cold and soap-slick. Serena's were stronger, efficient. "I don't think I know everything," Serena replied. "I know enough to survive. That is not the same as knowing everything. Which part of your life is acceptable and which part is poison?" Asha asked. "Does it come in small, labeled jars?" Serena's mouth softened at that. "My life is not a jar you can read without cutting your hand." They fell into silence before Asha realized she was leaning too close, as if proximity might wedge open something closed. She started to pull away then, the old reflex that had grown like armor since Leo was born: do not trust. Not easily. Not ever. But proximity has a way of changing things. After a week with Serena, she learned tiny facts. The way Seren's jaw tensed when she lied, the way she fiddled with a ringless finger when she worried. Serena learned the name of Asha's son, the rhythm of his laugh. They began to sleep in the same house with no pretense of complicity, just the quiet, cautious drafting of two territories. By the 3rd week, Asha realized with the sharpest kind of embarrassment that she'd started to miss Serena during the few hours the woman was gone on errands. She'd half imagined, ridiculously, that Serena would text a silly photograph of her coffee cup, or that Serena might mention a book and Asha would find it waiting on her pillow. Serena, for her part, watched Asha with a watchfulness that was almost protective and sometimes painfully tender. There were nights, late, after the city's lights had gone to sleep, when Serena would stand outside Asha's door and listen. Asha found her there once, and instead of telling her to leave, she asked in a softer voice, "You think I'd run?" Serena shrugged. "You might. Or you might light a match and burn a whole room to see if the danger would keep walking." Asha laughed, a short, honest burst, and the sound softened something in Serena's face. It wasn't love yet. No one writes the word that quickly. But there was traction. Two people learning the weight of each other's presence. That quiet gravity would eventually bend more than the rhythm of their days. It would bend their hearts. Mercy had been a world of sharp edges. Serena's world was the same, but with apocalyptic stakes. The first time they fought properly, about trust and insults and the silent accusation that each woman was the other's problem, the air itself seemed to crack. Asha had found a note shoved under her door, a thin slip of paper stamped with the same emblem Asha had seen on the man who had led the van the first night. The emblem had been on a ring, so worn the pattern almost disappeared. The writing was a single sentence. "You cannot hide forever." It changed everything. Asha slammed the scrap into Serena's hands like a weapon. "How much did you know?" she demanded. Serena's jaw was a stone. "I knew a group might try to use you. I did not know they would bother to send a warning." "You keep saying I did not know. How? You're everywhere, you control." "Control doesn't equal foresight," Serena cut in. Her voice was hard enough to carve. "I run a network. Networks fail. That's not a confession. That's an admission. I cannot predict every scrap of malice." Asha's face tightened. "Then don't pretend you've saved me. You saved me because you wanted to. Save me now." Serena's laugh was a blade. "You still think there was charity in it? I rescued you because it was tactical and because I do not like men who take what is not theirs." Charity. Tactical. Don't turn this into your righteousness. They circled like prey and hunter in a small, dangerous dance. The argument raised old, raw edges, of wounded trust, of ego, of the bruises both had worn for different reasons. The air got thin. Serena reached for the word, "Why?" and Asha pushed with the force of every night she'd stayed awake worrying about bills, about Leo's scraped knees, about waking to an empty apartment and a quiet that smelled of fear more often than rest. "You're an enemy," Asha finally spat, meaning the nickname Serena had once been given in the city underworld. "You live in a world that leaves bodies in alleys. And you are naive enough to think that world won't touch you," Serena answered. "You work at a hospital. Your proximity to suffering is your currency. You are soft in ways I cannot stand, and I don't have to respect that." The words were small bombs, and when they landed both women were suddenly too near. Asha's breath hitched, Serena's nostrils flared. For a wild, confusing second, anger blurred with something hot and unwanted that crawled across Asha's skin. "You know what I hate?" Asha said. Her hands, so steady tending wounds, trembled as she cupped a mug. "I hate that I thought I could choose where danger touched me." Serena stepped forward. "You can choose. You can't control where the world ends," Asha snapped. "And you're pretending you can." Their shoulders brushed. Static traveled all the way to Asha's fingers and into a place she had kept locked. Her pulse thudded in the hollow of her throat. In 2 long breaths, Serena closed the last inch between them, and Asha responded with an automatic, ridiculous defiance. She lifted her chin. They kissed in anger. It started like a slap, sharp, involuntary, an explosion. Asha's hands found Serena's collar with the reflexive brutality of someone who had to fight to be taken seriously. When Asha left the hallway, the argument left a residue on her skin. The kiss could have been a slip, a mistake to lock away. But in the quiet nights that followed, hands brushed on the same pot handle, a shoulder lingered a fraction of a second longer than it needed to. That slip, that mistake, had a gravity. It pulled them both. 3 days passed after the angry kiss, but the memory of it clung to Asha like heat that refused to cool. She tried to bury herself in small routines, washing dishes, sweeping the kitchen floor, making tea, but Serena's shadow lived in all of it. Whenever Asha turned a corner, Serena seemed to be there, leaning against a doorway, pouring her coffee, stretching after her morning run. And each time their eyes met, something electric pressed between them. Undeniable, sharp as flint. Asha hated it. No, she hated that she didn't hate it. On the 4th afternoon, Asha stood in the safe house garden, tearing dead leaves off a lavender bush simply because she needed to do something with her hands. Serena walked out holding 2 mugs of tea, her hair tied back, her shirt sleeves rolled to the elbows, revealing the faint scars that made her look even more dangerously human. "I made chamomile," Serena offered. Asha didn't take the mug. "You don't get to act normal," Asha muttered. "Not after what happened." Serena set both mugs on the table, her expression unreadable. "It was a mistake." Asha's chest tightened. The words hit her like a blow. "A mistake," she echoed, swallowing the sting. Right. That's not what I meant, Serena said quickly. What did you mean? Asha stepped toward her. That you kiss people you're protecting? That anger makes you lose control? Serena took a step, matching her. You kiss me back. Asha's heart lurched. That doesn't mean anything. Serena's voice dropped. It meant enough that you remember it. Asha's pulse spiked. Stop doing that. Doing what? Acting like you know me. Serena's gaze softened, just a fraction. I don't know you. Not yet. But I want to. Asha hated the way her breath caught. You don't get to want anything from me, she said. Serena's jaw flexed. Too late. The silence that followed was thick and hot. Asha broke it first, her hands trembling with restrained fury. 1 month, she said. You promised 1 month. After that, I'm gone. Serena nodded once, but said nothing. Asha turned away, shaking, but her footsteps stopped when she felt Serena's voice behind her. Asha, Serena said quietly. Against her better judgment, Asha faced her. Serena's eyes flickered with something almost vulnerable. If staying away keeps you safe, I'll stay away. If leaving you alone keeps your heart steady, I'll leave you alone. But don't ask me to pretend I didn't feel anything, because I did. Asha froze. She couldn't decide what scared her more, that Serena was telling the truth or that Asha wanted her to be. The storm arrived that night. Violent wind, hard rain, the kind that rattled windows and made the walls feel alive. Asha couldn't sleep. Serena couldn't either. At midnight, Asha walked downstairs for water. Serena was already there, sitting on the couch in the dim light, lightning flickering across her face. Her posture was tense, restless. Asha tried to walk past her. Serena's voice stopped her. Asha. Asha's spine stiffened. Don't. Please. Asha turned, anger burning in her chest. What do you want now? A muscle in Serena's jaw twitched. To talk. Talking was the mistake last time. Serena stood slowly. No. The mistake was letting you walk away. Asha stayed rooted to the spot. Serena took a step forward, then another. Asha moved back until her shoulders hit the wall. Stop, she whispered. I will, Serena murmured. If you truly want me to. Asha hated how her breath quickened, hated how hot her skin felt, hated how Serena's nearness made the storm inside her louder. You complicate everything, Asha said. I know. You make me lose focus. I know. You make me. Asha caught herself flushing. Serena leaned in, close enough that Asha felt her breath. Say it. Instead, Asha shoved her. It wasn't violent, but it carried days of pressure, anger, attraction, fear. Serena caught Asha's wrists, not hard, not controlling, just enough to stop her from spiraling. Let go, Asha hissed. Then stop looking at me like that, Serena whispered. Like what? Like you want to kiss me again. Asha's body betrayed her. She surged forward. Their second kiss wasn't messy. It wasn't accidental. It wasn't confused. It was intentional. Hard. Hot. Furious. Serena pressed Asha against the wall, kissing her like she'd been starving. Asha grabbed Serena's shirt, pulling her closer, kissing back with equal force, equal hunger. A groan vibrated against Asha's lips. Serena's hands slid around Asha's waist. Asha's fingers sank into Serena's hair. Lightning flashed. The world melted. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathless. This can't happen, Asha whispered, trembling. But it is, Serena murmured, forehead against hers. And neither of us is stopping. Asha didn't trust her voice. She didn't trust her pulse. She didn't trust the way her knees felt weak. Go upstairs, she whispered. Serena hesitated. Please. Serena swallowed, nodded, and stepped back. But her voice lingered in the silence. Asha, I'm not afraid of the storm. Asha's reply was barely audible. I am. The next few days twisted into something strange, soft where it shouldn't have been, rough where it shouldn't have been. Asha tried to avoid Serena. She really did. But Serena wasn't easy to avoid. If Asha cooked breakfast, Serena found an excuse to be in the kitchen. If Asha stepped outside, Serena just happened to be on the porch. If Asha sat on the couch, Serena sat beside her. Not close enough to touch, but close enough to feel. It was maddening. It was intoxicating. It was terrifying. One evening, Asha found Serena tending to a knife cut on her own hand, blood dripping onto the counter. What happened? Asha demanded. Training mistake. That's a lie. Serena shrugged. Asha grabbed Serena's wrist and pulled her to the sink. Serena's breath caught. Asha cleaned the wound carefully, her fingers gentle, her voice stern. You need stitches. I've had worse, Serena murmured. That's not the point. When Asha looked up, Serena's gaze was already on her, soft, warm, devastatingly intense. I like when you take care of me, Serena said quietly. Asha froze. Her pulse skipped. Stop saying things like that, she whispered.
Why?
Because I don't know how to handle you. Serena's voice dropped. Then let me handle you. Asha's breath faltered. She pulled her hand away too quickly, almost as if the touch burned. Serena, I don't know what this is. Serena stood, towering slightly over her. Her voice was a murmur, warm as a confession. It's the beginning. Asha's heart stumbled.
Of what? She wanted to ask.
But she wasn't ready for the answer. Not yet. It happened without warning. A shout outside. A crash.
Glass.
Footsteps. Serena reacted instantly, pulling Asha behind her, shoving a hidden panel aside, grabbing a gun from a compartment Asha hadn't even noticed. Stay behind me, Serena ordered, voice low, lethal. Asha's fear snapped into panic. Is it them? Probably. Serena kicked the door open and stepped into the hall. A masked man charged from the side. Serena fought like someone who'd spent her life learning the language of violence. Swift, controlled, precise. Asha couldn't see everything, but she heard the grunt, the thud, the break. Then, a gunshot. It wasn't loud, but the way Serena flinched, sharp, sudden, made Asha's blood turn cold. Serena! Asha screamed. Serena staggered, barely keeping upright. Another attacker ran. Serena tried to follow, but collapsed on one knee. Asha sprinted to her, catching Serena before she hit the floor. Hey, look at me, Asha pleaded, voice shaking. Where are you hit? Serena gritted her teeth. Shoulder. Clean through. You're losing blood. I've lost more. Serena tried to stand. Her legs buckled. Asha, move, there might be more.
No, Asha snapped.
I'm not leaving you. Serena blinked, stunned. You'll get hurt. Then we get hurt together, Asha said fiercely. But you're not dying on me. For a moment, Serena looked at her like she wasn't used to being protected. Like she didn't know how it felt to be someone's priority. Asha pressed her forehead to Serena's. Stay awake. Stay with me. Serena exhaled a shaky breath. I'm trying.
Good.
Because I'm not letting you go. And then, Serena whispered something she had never said before. Asha, don't be afraid. I'm right here. Asha's voice cracked. That's the problem. I'm afraid because you're here. Serena's eyes softened, even as pain carved through them. And I'm afraid because I want to stay. Asha's breath caught. She kissed Serena then, soft, desperate, aching. Not angry, not rushed. A kiss like a promise. A kiss like a turning point. A kiss that said everything neither of them had dared to speak. Serena's fingers pressed weakly into Asha's waist. Asha held her tighter. Outside, danger still lurked. But inside that moment, their hearts finally aligned. It took Asha almost 10 minutes to drag Serena to the safe house bedroom. 10 minutes that felt like a lifetime. 10 minutes of Serena swaying between consciousness and darkness. Serena's skin was turning cold, her breath uneven. Asha's hands shook, her scrub smeared with blood. Sit, Asha ordered, pushing Serena onto the bed.
Serena tried to protest.
Asha, there may still be.
No.
Asha grabbed Serena's face gently but firmly, forcing eye contact. You're bleeding. You're in pain. And you're not walking another step. Serena's jaw clenched. I don't want you exposed. I will be exposed if you die, because you're stubborn. Serena blinked, slowly, heavily. Asha tore open the fabric of Serena's shirt, revealing the bullet wound on the front of her shoulder. Blood trickled warm and dark down her arm. Oh God, Asha whispered. Why didn't you tell me it was this bad? Serena's lips pulled into a weak smirk. You looked busy panicking. Shut up, Asha whispered fiercely, tears brimming. I'm saving you, whether you like it or not. She pressed a cloth to the wound and Serena hissed, her muscles tensing. Breathe, Serena. You're good at this, Serena murmured through clenched teeth. I'm an ER nurse, Asha snapped, her voice breaking. But I can't think when it's you. That made Serena pause. When it's me, she echoed. Asha didn't answer. Her hands were shaking too hard. Serena's gaze softened. Hey, don't cry. Asha glared at her through tears. I'm not crying. You are. And you're still talking too much. Serena's head tipped sideways, resting against the wall as exhaustion pulled her down. Asha leaned forward, her forehead touching Serena's for the second time that night. You scared me, Asha whispered. You terrify me. Serena's breath hitched. You care? Serena asked softly, as if afraid of the answer. Asha swallowed hard. Yes. Serena closed her eyes, as if the word itself hurt her more than the wound. Serena's fever rose overnight. Her breathing turned shallow. Her skin grew hot under Asha's trembling hands. Asha sat on the edge of the bed, pressing wet cloths to Serena's forehead, whispering her name over and over. Serena, Serena, stay with me. Each time Serena stirred, she murmured Asha's name, never anyone else's. At dawn, Serena's eyes fluttered open. Asha had been awake the entire night, watching her, guarding her like a lifeline. Asha, Serena breathed, dazed and soft. You're still here. Of course I'm still here, Asha whispered, brushing damp hair back from Serena's face. Where else would I go? Serena blinked, confused. You don't owe me anything. Asha froze at that. Slowly, deliberately, she cupped Serena's cheek, her thumb tracing the strong line of her jaw. I'm here because I want to be. Serena swallowed. That's more dangerous than any bullet, she murmured. Asha's chest tightened. You're not allowed to say things like that while you're half delirious. Serena's lips curved faintly. That's the only time I say them. Asha felt her heart drop and rise at the same time. Why? She whispered. Serena's hand lifted weakly, trembling as she touched Asha's wrist, her fingers barely there. Because if I say them while I'm fully awake. Her voice caught. I might ruin you. Asha leaned closer, their noses almost touching. Serena. You're not ruining me. Serena's breath brushed Asha's lips. You don't know what I'm capable of, she whispered. I know exactly what you're capable of, Asha replied. And I'm still here. Serena let out a shaky exhale, a sound that wasn't pain, but surrender. Serena's fever broke the next evening, leaving her drenched in sweat and too exhausted to stand. Asha helped her sit up, holding her shoulders, brushing hair from her temple. Slow, Asha whispered. Don't push yourself. Their faces were close. Too close. Serena lifted her head, studying Asha's expression as if searching for something. You stayed, Serena murmured. I told you I would. Serena swallowed. Why? Asha hesitated, just long enough for Serena's eyes to dim with fear. Then Asha answered softly. Because losing you was the thought I couldn't bear. Serena inhaled sharply, her fingers curling weakly into Asha's shirt. Asha, don't say that unless you mean it. I mean it. The words shattered something in Serena. Her guard dropped. Her breath stuttered. Asha leaned in, slow, careful, giving Serena every chance to pull away. Serena didn't. Their lips met. This kiss was nothing like the angry ones. It was slow, warm, trembling. A kiss made of relief and gratitude, and longing neither of them could name. Serena let out a small, broken sound. The sound of someone who had built walls for years and was finally letting them fall. Asha's hand slid to Serena's jaw. Serena's fingers curled into Asha's waist, pulling her closer despite her weakness. The kiss deepened, slowly, tenderly, until both women were breathless. When they finally parted, Serena was shaking. "Don't look at me like that," she whispered. Asha brushed her thumb over Serena's lower lip. "Like what?" "Like I'm something worth loving." Asha's heart clenched. "You are," she whispered. "You always have been." Serena slept for a few more hours, and when she woke again, twilight painted the room purple. Asha sat beside her, half asleep in the chair. "Come here," Serena murmured, her voice hoarse from weakness. Asha blinked awake.
What?
"Do you need something? Water? Medicine?"
No, Serena whispered.
"Just come here." Asha hesitated, biting her lip, then climbed into the bed, carefully, making sure not to touch Serena's wound. Serena turned slightly, resting her forehead against Asha's collarbone. Asha froze. "You don't have to." Her voice caught as Serena's arm wrapped gently around her waist. "I want to," Serena murmured. They lay like that for a long time. Quiet breathing, the soft rustle of sheets, the warmth of bodies that no longer pretended they didn't want each other. Eventually, Serena whispered, "Asha, I thought I was good at resisting things, but I can't resist you." Asha's hand slid slowly into Serena's hair. "Then don't." Serena lifted her head, their lips brushing. The kiss that followed wasn't rushed. It wasn't hungry. It was slow, deep, exploring. Asha touched Serena's waist. Serena touched the back of Asha's neck. Their breathing tangled. Their hearts aligned. Serena pulled Asha closer, kissing her jaw, her cheek, her lips again soft, reverent. Asha's fingers cupped Serena's face. Serena's hand slid along Asha's back, drawing her in. Their legs tangled gently, their bodies fit together like something inevitable. Asha whispered against Serena's lips, "Is this okay?" Serena nodded, her forehead pressed to Asha's. "Yes," she breathed. "Yes, that's more than okay." They kissed again, longer this time. A slow, sensual tangle of lips and hands and whispered breaths. Asha's palm slid under the hem of Serena's shirt, only as far as Serena allowed, and Serena's reaction was a soft sound that made Asha's heart stutter. They didn't rush. They didn't break boundaries. They explored each other gently, the night warm around them. And eventually, with Serena's head resting on Asha's shoulder and Asha's fingers woven with Serena's, Serena whispered the words she had never said to anyone in her life. "I think I'm falling for you." Asha kissed her forehead. "I already have." Their last kiss of the night was slow, soft, and full of promise. They slept wrapped in each other's arms. Two women who had been enemies, strangers, survivors, now choosing each other. And the world would never be the same.